You can ask. He's gonna make you way. You can ask. He's gonna open new doors. You can ask. He's gonna open new windows. God's gonna do it. God's gonna do it. Y'all better help him. God's gonna do it. He's gonna do exceeding abundantly above all you can ask or think. He's gonna do exceeding abundantly.
Well, here we are. It's about to go down. Y'all know I like TV, cartoons, so let me go over here and do this. Hey, you guys, it's about to go down. Come on in the room. Come on in the room. It's that hour. Let us know you're there. We're waiting for you. It is the time for change, for greatness, and we are so excited. We're inviting you in this room today. Come on in the room. We need to know where you're coming from. We need to hear from you. We're waiting for you. Come on. Lottie, y'all know who I'm calling. Dottie and everybody. Let's prepare now for this move today. And it's going to be a greater move. I see my sister, Dr. Prophetess, Apostle Wanetta Ash. Why don't you hit that @ followers? I see you. Pamela Evans, come on. Come on in the room. Hit that @ followers. It's about to go down. It's happening in this room today. My. But that Elder Clark, listen, it's happening. Hit that @ followers. Share. Hit the like and share. Pack the. Hey. Don't you on them. Cut the TV off. Say, man, get off the porch. Come on in here. Something about to happen in here today. Come on. I'm going to tell you what time it is in a minute. Come on. Come on, make room. It's tight in here. @ followers. Let's do it. It's about to happen in here today. It's that hour. Come on in the room. Gather your family. Gather your friends. Let's bring change in together. Come on, here we are at the highlight button. Thank you, Bishop Ford. Hit that @ highlight button. Invite those people. Y'all know who I'm calling for. Lottie, Dottie, and everybody. Let me do it again. Hey, you guys, it's about to happen. Come on in here. Sit down on that divan there, and we're about to listen. We're about to go up together as a family. Oh, you keep asking me, what time is it? It's E320 o'clock. It's about to happen. That's it. It's the miracle experience. It's what changed my purpose and destiny meet up together, and my very life changes. Come on in the room. You got just come on. It's enough room. Come on. We got space in the balcony. Come on in the room. We have much space in the balcony. Let us know where you're coming in from. We're waiting for you, because what's next, it involves you. You are in line for next. It don't matter how packed the room is. You're in line for next. Come on in the room. It's about to happen in this place today. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. It's about to go down in here today. We're here today and we're having a ball. Hey, let's talk about sex. That's what we're talking about today. We're going to have a ball. We're talking about it. Invite your buddies in here. Invite your frenemies, whatever y'all call them. Tell them it's happening in the room today. Let's talk about sex. Let me welcome you to the E320 Empowerment Room, where we tap into the power and promise of Ephesians 3:20 that declares now to him that is able to do exceeding abundantly above all that we could ask or think, according to the power that worketh in us. Let me first thank God for our bishop, our father in the Lord, in the personality of Bishop Rasby G. Mason. We thank God for him today. Let's clap our hands and tell God thank you for the visionary of this E320 experience, If it was not a him, we wouldn't be here. We would not be here. So we're here with that purpose in mind. I see you in the room. Come on, make room, scoot over, let them in. If it gets too full down here, please let them know it is seating space in the balcony. The overflow room is there. Move in. Let me tell you, I am your host today, that in the personality of Apostle Gwendolyn Alexander. Here in this sacred space, we've come together each week to enkindle your faith, expand your vision, empower you to believe, and experience the miraculous power of God working in your life. We also often, every week, we begin with our E320 Confession of Faith. Are we ready? Let's say this together. I walk in the power of Ephesians 3:20. I am empowered to prosper, healed in my body, and sound in my mind. I'm emotionally intelligent, fully prepared, and anointed for the moment I'm walking in. I carry the spiritual insight of Issachar and the strategies of Solomon. I live under an open heaven, and no good thing shall be withheld from me. I believe it, I receive it, I walk in it, and it is so. I cannot go any further without introducing to you today my family, my co-hosts. They are here with me today. I'm so excited about what's next. I'm going to call all of their names, and then I'm going to have them to come and share with their level of expectation is. We have my brother, Apostle Perry Ford. We have my sister, Dr. Adrian Woods, known as Dr. A. And then we have Evangelist Kimberly Clark. Apostle Ford, can you come and share with us what you're expecting God to do for us today?
Because of the morning that I had, I'm expecting God to do exceedingly abundantly above all I can ever hope. At 2:38, I had an intruder on my yard walking around. So I was gonna do a bishop, and I got a 9. So I'm not the one to mess with. So I'm ready. So we're gonna put some more security, but I'm looking for some excitement, some blessings, some real excitement, and we finna fire. I'm going like the Ohio players, fire. That we gonna
do. Dr. Woods, can you tell us what you're expecting for us today?
Yes, I am expecting healing to take place today. Healing is going to take place today. Into those deep wounds, we're going to take some layers off, and it's going to be healed today. All right.
Wonderful. I'm looking for something. And my sister, Evangelist Kimberly Clark, come on and tell us what you're expecting for us to receive today.
Absolutely. I'm expecting clarity. I'm expecting people to get language for the things that they're going through. And I also second Dr. A. I believe that there's going to be healing that takes place today. Definitely healing.
Oh, so we're going to listen. We are expecting God to bring change to our very lives. And so our challenge is to steward a sacred yet sensitive conversation about sex. It's okay, we can say it. That speaks the truth to power, trauma, culture, and covenant, while still being relevant, raw, real, relational, and redemptive. It's okay. We're going to talk about sex today. And so there are some conversations we avoid because they're too messy, too sensitive, too taboo. But just because the church has been silent, and the church has been too silent, doesn't mean the culture has. So today, we're breaking the silence. We're going to go, oh, Lord. The church should have been talking about this, or maybe it wouldn't be so out of order. Sex is a 3-letter word. It either stirs curiosity, awakens pain, or activates emotional triggers. It creates controversy, especially in the church. It's 2 things the church don't want to talk about, and that's sex and money. Can I tell you something? Sex is not the enemy. God created it. Satan distorted it. Culture exploits it, and the church avoids it. After the day, that's over. We're not going to avoid it. We need to talk about it. And so today we're going to talk about sex. And sex is not a dirty word. Nevertheless, hardly anyone wants to talk about it, but mostly everyone wants to be about it. Uh-oh. Mm-mm. They don't want to talk about money because they don't want to give none. They don't want to talk about sex because they want to. This is especially true within the church. So today we're going to talk about it. So here's how we're going to walk through this conversation today. The 5 R's. We're going to approach it that way today. The 5 R's. Real. We'll speak to you, not an ideal version, but the real one. Relevant. We'll speak today's language. FWB. Sneaky links, sexual trauma, porn addiction, and power imbalance. We're going to talk about it. Raw. We won't sugarcoat real issues. Your life matters. We won't do that. Masturbation, oral, anal, toys, trauma. Breathe. Just breathe. It's okay. I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to still be saved. Raw. We won't sugarcoat nothing. We're going to talk about real issues. Masturbation, oral, anal, toys, and trauma. Breathe. It's okay. Then relational. We're doing this with you, not at you. And then redemptive. We will not just describe the problem. We will offer pathways to freedom. And so we have segments. We're going to dive right in here today. We'll deal with the segments. Segment 1, culture and confusion. We are living in a culture where sex is everywhere, but clarity is missing. Let's talk about how culture is confused sex, love, and covenant. Boy, and it is confused. It is so confused. We're going to jump right in here because we want to cover a lot of ground in a few minutes, but it's very informative. I'm going to bring my brother Apostle forward. I want to ask you this. How can Christian leaders help believers distinguish between culture's definition of sex and God's definition? Can you come help us, sir?
Of course. Thank you so much. And once again, I want to thank in the absence of our bishop for having us being able to do this today. One of the things I tell everybody, first of all, you can't talk to somebody about something if you don't know who you're talking to. There has to be relationship developed if I'm going to talk about a subject that's that touchy. Because if I don't have a relationship with them, I can tell them all day long and they're just going to say, well, that's you. But when you have a relationship and they trust the person that you are, then you can talk to them because, like it says, culture treats sex like entertainment. They entrap you. They entice you. It amazes me how they could be selling milk and they got a half-naked woman selling milk. It just don't make any sense to me because they want to tantalize your eyes. They want to get into the eye gate so that they can get into your heart. So now when you pick up milk, you're thinking about the last person you saw with the milk. And it was designed as covenant. It's nothing wrong with a covenant relationship under God and sex. It's not. And I don't know why. I know why the church is so adamant about that. I don't have a problem talking about it from my platform. People know me. I'm real, raw. I tell them the real deal because that's where they're at. And we got to stop playing like closing our eye. I grew up watching this happen in the church. So my perspective was must be all right if everybody else, if the deacon doing it, if the pastor doing it, the choir director doing it, if he not married and they stand, then it must be all right. But we have to learn and teach that sex is not about feelings. Oh, that made me feel good. Oh, she's so fine. Oh, he's so, like they got this butter they got out now that they rub on and the lady go, you smell so good. But you might smell good, but you ain't good. Okay, y'all get that in the morning. The smell, I'm not looking for a smell. I'm looking for a figure. I'm looking for a covenant. And the other part of that is what's the purpose of it? It's for covenant. It's for two people under the marriage covenant to experience something that they never experienced before. The problem in most cases now is that most people have already experienced, so they're already living in this world about what they experienced before, so it's hard. Lastly, I'll just say this and I'm done, that culture entertains and it entraps. It woos you. but covenant protects. It keeps the bond between man and woman in the place that God intended it, where they're both together and they're understanding that we're doing this, we're doing life, we're explaining this together. So that's how I would do it. And as you would always say, that's my story, and I definitely gonna stick to it.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And we want to understand covenant. We don't want just to touch. And this is some of the things that we're talking about. And we're going to reach prayerfully and help us to have a respectful life one for another. I'm going to call my sister, Dr. Woods. Clinically, what happens when people live in a state of casual sex culture? And what do you see in the counseling room?
Apostle, this is what I'm seeing, and I counsel both couples and individuals. And what I'm seeing is, and I've counseled them, people that have partaken in this casual sex culture. I haven't met one who haven't regretted it yet. Even if they're still in that lifestyle, even if they're still doing, they're living a lifestyle now of being emotionally numb. They have confused this touch with intimacy, and they end up really being disconnected from themselves and their spouse. It leads to depression. It leads to anxiety. And one of the biggest things I'm seeing, especially in females, is leading to self-esteem issues, because it's leading to rejection. Because once you begin to feed this culture, what you have fed now is hungrier, and it's going to grow. So it may have started with one night stands. That's not enough. That's boring now. Now it's going to threesomes. That's not enough. Swinging. That's not enough. It's steady growing. It's steady growing because you're having to feed what you have been trying to feel. You're numb and you're just trying to feel something. And what's so sad is a lot of it, when it comes to deal with females, it all started with them actually initially wanting love. And so we're going to get further along and talk about the trauma and this need for this and the real wounds of this. But when you get down to it, this casual sex culture leaves deep, deep, deep scars. So we're going to talk about it more, but it has a lasting effect. But there's a way out. There's a way out, because your mind has to be rewired, and to know that you can set these boundaries in your life, and you don't even have to go down this road.
Y'all hang out in here, because I'm telling you, we're going to dig deeper into this. They've already posted. If you have questions, send them to the E320 Miracle Experience at Gmail. They posted it there. We are digging deeper. We just got started. Listen, Evangelist Kimberly Clark, how does social media and hookup culture affect how women, especially young women, see themselves? How does social media and hookup culture affect how women, especially young women, see themselves? Evangelist Kimberly Clark, help us with you.
Now, it's wild, Apostle, because we're living in a time where validation is tied to visibility. And social media constantly says that if they're not looking at you, then you're not valuable. And hookup culture adds to that nonsense too, by making women feel like their worth is in what they can offer physically, not emotionally or spiritually. So for a lot of young women, especially those who are still figuring out who they are, it becomes easy to just start performing instead of just existing. They're curating their image instead of developing their identity. And that pressure leads to comparison. It leads to you eventually compromising yourself. And then all of it is just pure confusion. But I've been there. I know what that feels like. I know how that feels. I used to need attention to feel like I mattered. But when God started healing the broken places in me, I didn't need approval by multiple people to validate me anymore, because I knew what He already spoke over me. And so I think the young women need to really hear this, that you're not a product, you're a person. And if you have to post to be seen, then you're being seen by the wrong people for the wrong reasons. And then you're only surface level living as well. So find out exactly what it is that's feeding that need for you to be seen. Give that to God and allow God to heal that.
Listen, Thank you, Dr. Ford. Validation is tied to visibility. She said something, and while she was talking about if you have to post to be seen and you're not a product, I immediately thought about Facebook Marketplace. Stop putting yourself out there on the market like you're the latest product, like you're the latest product. Let me tell you something. Young people, you have to set boundaries, and I think parents should teach their children set boundaries at a young age. You have to set boundaries for you and understand if I'm not the product, I must be the prize, and you don't get me from an auction block. I said it last week. And so when you learn to set boundaries and stand on your boundaries and guard your heart, words just don't do it for me. They don't just do it. My father validated me. And those things are important. So you're not telling me something I never heard. I set boundaries and teach our children at a young age to set boundaries and then be accountable. You know, you're not on that shelf. My sister and I had a conversation one time. Grocery store brand beans in the can versus Del Monte. That I don't care what you say, they have a different taste. And so what you have to do is understand I'm a brand and I've been God branded. And when we teach that at a young age, we won't have so many people out there and understand boundaries are better built before temptation comes. When you set a boundary before the temptation, then when the temptation shows up, I can say to the temptation that you can't cross that line because that's what's been given me. And so we just have to learn that. We're going into segment 2 now. What we've done already is identified how culture has distorted our view. So let's deal with what happens when sex bonds us in ways we can't always see. What happens? What happens when we're drawn in ways we can't even see we've been pulled into? Soul ties and brokenness. That's segment 2. Soul ties and brokenness. I'm calling my sister, Dr. Woods, again. Explain psychologically soul ties. If you would come and explain that to us.
Yes, Apostle. Yes. Okay. The soul ties. Listen very carefully. See, sex releases oxytocin. That's a love hormone. It's called the cuddle chemical, people call it. Then you got dopamine. That's the feel-good chemical. That's pleasure and reward. So these chemical bonds, they bond you together. And see, when you're with those chemical releases, your brain will literally rewire itself to crave them. Even if they're toxic, you get a high from them. It's like a drug. This can be good or bad in a godly situation. It can be. But ungodly soul ties, this is serious because it shapes your emotions, your thoughts, even your behavior in ways that it's hard to explain. I developed an ungodly soul tie in my 20s. I was just getting started with, and it came at the time when I was starting off as a worship leader and really trying to draw myself closer to the Lord. And here comes this ungodly soul tie. And I'm talking about, it was so hard to break free of this. I desired to break free of this soul tie, this ungodly relationship. It was so hard. And God placed these powerful women in my life. And in intercessory prayer one night, one began to prophesy to me, and she saw it. And she said, I see your hunger for God. She said, but there is something that is sucking on you and pulling out your lifeline. And she said, it's a soul tie. And I was finally able to be real about this and say, how do I stop this? How do I stop taking the phone call? How do I stop thinking about this person? How do I stop? Because I can't stop with my own strength. I'm trying. I want this relationship with the Lord, and I cannot do it on my own. And she began, with the power of those other women, began to pray for me. But she taught me something so powerful, and I teach that now when I counsel. And it's normally, I've talked to counsel several men about soul ties, but it's normally women. I did something so powerful that she taught me. She said, you pray for him to forget about you. I prayed that he no longer desired me. She said, starve it. And once he dropped, I began to starve that tie. And that's how I was able to break free from it. So I'm telling you, the soul ties are they are serious. They're actual. This is not only spiritual, but this is a chemical bond that you have with this person. Your body can leave a person and your brain can still be tied to them. So there is a way out. You got to set boundaries. You got to starve it. You got to forgive yourself. And you've got to make sure that you focus on your healing.
Bishop Ford, they used to say it like this in the world: your body's here with me, but your mind on the other side of town. Soul ties are so real. And we have to, you can't shout them away. Oh, God, you can't shout them away. We got to stop acting like the shout removes everything. We have to deal with these issues. And believe it or not, if you have a soul tie and lay down with somebody else, then now you tied to two other people and you run around and wonder why you cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Listen, Mother Abner said that parents need to go back to being parents and not their children's friend. Y'all, these things are real. They're happening in church. We singing in the choir. We're preaching in the pulpit. We're ushering on the usher board. We're on the deacon board, and we have ties, and we're wondering why we can't love our mates. It's because my body's here with you, but my mind on the other side of town. Thank you, my sister. Somebody is being helped, but the reality is you have to be real with yourself. Evangelist Clark, come to the mic if you would. What are some signs that someone is still emotionally and spiritually tied to someone from their past? What are the signs?
This one right here, Apostle, like I've dealt with this a lot in my life, still holding on to very unhealthy people, unhealthy thoughts. You know that you're still tied when they're gone, but they're still guiding your behavior, literally guiding your behavior every day. You stop trusting new people because of what that old person did. You even sabotage good connections because you still feel like you're not enough. And spiritually, you feel that weight too. You're praying, but something's still tugging on your soul. For me, I knew I wasn't free when I kept rehearsing that same pain over and over again. I say I was over it. I wanted to believe I was over it. I hoped I was over it. But if their name came up, my mood shifted. My peace was just gone. And that's not freedom. That's bondage in disguise. And sometimes it's not even the love that you're tied to. It's the version of yourself that you became while you was with them. And most of the things that you liked about them, you created in your own head. And sometimes most of the things you liked about them was because they created that person, because that's what you told them that you needed. And so true freedom, it comes when you stop craving closure and start walking in true healing. You don't need them to apologize to you for you to be delivered. You don't need them to be a certain different way for you to be delivered. God will literally deliver you right in the middle of your aching, of your hurt, of your pain. All you got to do is surrender and allow him to do it. But he will deliver it. He will deliver you from it without their help.
Now, I'm going to call the police. I'm going to call them because, listen, you said some, thank you. She needs to be arrested. Let me tell y'all something. You said some powerful things. And in order for you to let them go, you have to be honest with yourself and realize I'm still holding them. They got my mind, they got my mood, and that stuff matters. You start, I smell a cologne. I smell, yes. And don't y'all act like you ain't, You can smell a cologne, like, yeah, don't do that. And that's a level of bondage, and it's a soul tie. Now, we've talked about the soul ties. We've talked about these ungodly things that are being emotionally and spiritually tied to them. But I got to call Bishop Ford, Apostle Ford, to the table, and I want to ask him, because we can't tell you they're there and not tell you some steps to get rid of it. And my sisters have done some of that. Confession, ownership, accountability. But Apostle Ford, what are steps that believers can take to break ungodly soul ties? Would you help us, please, sir?
As it already has been discussed, there's like 3 things that I want to bring to the table. I'm not saying they're all inclusive, but they are important. First thing I'm going to talk to them, and then I'm going to talk each point. Cut, confess, brother, cut, and close. One of the things that has been the problem is that our industry promotes bad boys. I don't care how holy or whatever, they promote bad boys. They promote them with the glitter, the glam. They got the cars, they got the ride. So when a girl grows up, she could be wanting somebody good, could even marry somebody good. But that bad boy image that you see on TV continues to haunt her, that her husband doesn't fulfill a fantasy she sees in entertainment. So she wants something that she don't have. So she goes after something she don't need. And so first, you can never conquer what you don't confess. Like it's already been said by Dr. A, I got to tell myself I got an issue. And it's a problem when people think that body count is more than holiness. My body count makes me more valuable, like Evangelist Clark, valuable. No, your body count calls you to be less valuable. It's like a car that's 10 years old. It's not as valuable as a brand new car because it's been rolled down the road a lot of time, and that ain't a whole lot of mileage left on. The wheels falling off. You can't. Well, let me move on because it's a family show. You can't do that. So you got to understand when you lay with somebody, that's soul. That's when we talk about soul tie, and I love what she said about the psychological, the dopamine stuff, but that is a weight. You're carrying every one of their connections weight on you. And you're wondering why you're acting like that, because that connection is in your spirit. Because remember, whatever gets in here comes out of here. And so we got to close it. We got to close the door. Quit going back to where they're at, thinking that you're strong enough. Like I used to think when I stopped drinking, I go to the club. Oh, I ain't going to drink. I'm going to just get a Coke. The devil was waiting for me to look at everybody else because I wasn't delivered because I didn't confess I had a problem. I just quit. So you gotta confess. You gotta break those ties. And the principle of that is it starts when you start closing the doors to people, because those triggers are real. Like it was already said, that cologne, the smell, the record. I was talking on Bible study at the place where I preach the most at the Sanctuary Church, and I was talking about, y'all know how music is. You hear that song and you go, that's my jam. Well, in the words of my dad, that's my okay. That word we can't say out. That remind me. I remember when we used to be so ooh, and he just took you straight there, places you ain't never want to go. And days you do things you never want to do. Cut the door, close the door, and don't ever open up the boundaries. You got to say no. I understood that I can't go in a club where they're drinking if I'm not delivered, because abstinence, I want you to hear me, and I'm done, does not mean deliverance.
Where is the police? He said it. Abstinence does not mean that. There you go. No deliverance does not come first based on what you physically do. You got to be delivered in your mind. One must be delivered in his mind. How can I know that I've been healed enough to start loving again after sexual trauma? Well, I think it was Evangelist Kimberly Clark that said it best, that it was triggers, that when you call their name, I would act a certain kind of way. When you know you've been delivered, you can call their name in 10 different languages, and you be talking about John Doe, who? Oh, yeah, him. And that's when you know you've been set free. That song can come on. You be like, I never heard that before. That's when you know you've been delivered. That's when you know that soul tie has been severed. And to be healed means to be made whole. And so when you talk about what happened without reliving the pain, I didn't park in it, but I let it push me. Now I can help somebody else. I'm able to trust without fear controlling my every move. I'm not afraid when I go in the store, I'm gonna see this person. I'm not afraid that when I go to the theater, they're there. I've been healed. And listen, when healing shows up as peace where pain used to be, you can shout then. Then you can shout because I've been delivered. The tie has been severed. Y'all know my story. That is my story. And I'm sticking to it as we move to segment 3. We understand the power of ties. Now we're going to talk about intimacy itself and why many are performing instead of connecting. There is a difference. Segment 3, intimacy versus performance. Y'all good? Got your seatbelt on? It's okay. We talking. We hadn't thrown away our life with Christ. Dr. Woods, you're going to have to come back and help me again. What happens when people learn sex from pornography? And how does that distort expectations
Woo.
in marriage? Yeah. Just help us right there, sis.
Oh, Apostle. Unrealistic. It's an unrealistic expectation. It creates this fantasy. You think that sex is this performance that they have instead of this relationship. You have gotten this wrong. You're going to end up being disappointed for one, because all you've been seeing is these performances. These are actors that are performing. They're not new mothers. They're not those women that are have maturing bodies and that are changing yearly. And they're not the career women and the soccer moms who are working all the time and busy. These are performances, and you have this expectation now. But what happens is you strive to be alluring, of course, with your husband and your spouse. But some of these people are there just because of their assets that you may not have. And so you got this whole fantasy about what a woman should look like, what a woman should be doing in the bedroom, what kind of act she should be performing. And this is not real life. You're setting yourself up for this. Really, in actuality, some of the stuff they're doing, it can't even make the marriage bed holy, because some of these acts still would make the marriage bed defiled. So the power principle that you get from this is to know that performance without the connection is going to destroy the intimacy. You have got to have a realistic view about intimacy with your spouse and keep holy, fun, sexy, learning. But to look at pornography and learn how think that you can learn intimacy for pornography, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. It's not going to happen.
Listen, you said a mouthful, and it kind of pushed me to share this. I think we shared it last week. Please understand that intimacy does not even start in the bedroom. Can you have a conversation with me? Can we agree to disagree and still love each other? Do we have to fight because you like liver and I don't? Intimacy is the ability to understand without me opening my mouth. I'm tired. I'm broken. He needs this or she needs this. Performance now, here I come, is just a moment where I get relief. And this is why people end up with soul ties, because you can get relief anywhere. Intimacy, you can't get anywhere. You have to know me. You have to get to know me. You have to, and I think it was Bishop Ford said a few weeks ago, you don't have to be my hero, but just know. And so there is a difference. And so some people mix up and they look for performance. I mean, they look for intimacy in performance. And the reality is all you get is an actor. That's all. That's all. Evangelist Clark. Now, this is one right here. Speak to the issue of body shaming and how it kills intimacy in marriage.
Now, shame doesn't just make you quiet. Shame makes you also hide. It makes you hide from so many different things. Actually, it makes you hide from the things that could heal you. That's what it does. That's what it actually targets. And when somebody feels unattractive, unwanted, or feel judged, it shuts down their ability to connect, especially in marriages. For women, we don't just give our body, we give our souls too. And so we feel ashamed or rejected. We stop showing up emotionally. And eventually we stop showing up physically too. And sometimes it's not even, you know, what your spouse said, it's what you believed about yourself, right? Especially if you believe something about yourself even before they said it, and then they said something similar to it, which added right on to it. And now you created a whole identity behind someone that you trusted telling you something that doesn't even match up with who you really are. But healing begins when you stop viewing your body as something to fix and start honoring it as something that God formed. Intimacy thrives where safety lives. There has to be safety, and you can't have safety where shame is still running the show.
Oh, sis, I got to stop you. You got to back up, rewind, and repeat. Say that again and say it slow for the people in the balcony with the helmet on. Say it slow. Come on.
Intimacy thrives where safety lives, and you can't have safety where shame is running the show.
Y'all, it's gonna be some jail going. You can't have safety where shame is running the show. But she said something about what God created. And again, I have to go back. If you're being body shamed, that's not intimacy. They're not looking for intimacy. They're looking for performance. And I'm sorry, I'm listening. And can I tell you, this has been going on before AI ever showed up. Folks have been creating figures that they wanted. And we've been living in this stuff. Listen, I am who I am, and that's who I am. I am who I am, and that's who I am. And so she said so much. It's some jail stuff going on. Well, Apostle Ford, I may as well let you put some icing on this cake. How can couples recover from sexless marriage seasons? How can couples recover?
I have to say, like you said, it's all this stuff started before AI, because we used to hide Playboy magazines under our bed and pull out the photo. And well, okay, I'm sorry, let me move on. Y'all don't know nothing about that. That's for old people. One of the things I understand is you got to have conversation. You got to be able to talk to each other. And one of the things, and I'm gonna say this, I'm probably gonna get in trouble with men. Men don't want to talk. They want to tell you what's going on. And if a woman is having and experiencing something that you're doing during your sexual connection that may be causing trauma, there's times when there's medical issues with women that it's not because they don't want to, it's because there's pain when you're getting together. So we got to find out what's all this going on, but it will never happen until we talk to each other. Hey, look, honey, it's not that I don't desire you. It's just that I'm these things. When you touch me like that, it sends a trigger. I never told you about this, but I need to let you know. We got to be honest with our spouses. Hey, there's some things that happened to me that I didn't tell you, and the spouse thinking, oh, she don't love me. So what happens with that? The enemy done heard the word, and next thing you know, you sitting at you got to a convention, or you're sent away on your job, and you're sitting down and you're eating, and somebody, has this seat taken? And they start, y'all saw that movie with Wesley Snipes when they were sitting at the bar, and all they did was cuddle, but that was still wrong, because she was, okay, I'm gonna move along. Oh, we didn't do nothing, we just cuddle. Hey, if you cuddle, you was wrong. That's okay, let me move on. So we got to talk about it. And we got to talk about it so that we can heal whatever is going wrong. If there's a medical issue, then let's go together and find out how. If it says that we got to gently work into something, okay, then I got to be man enough to know that I have to work with you. But I need to add a clause to this. It's not just women, because there's some men who've been I'm not talking about men and men, but there's some women who have sexually abused boys, and they have trauma to touch. And they have trauma they have to deal with. So their performance is based on can't perform because of the trauma that they went through. So we think he ain't a man. He can't do what I need to do. So I need to get me a real man. Let's talk about it. That's why we're doing this today. Let's talk about it. Let's be real. Let's be raw. Let's tell the truth. Don't hide. If I'm married to you, I need you. One of the things I did, and I'm stopping. I told my wife everything about me. from the time I was born to the time she met me, because I didn't want any situation to come in that would cause an issue with us. And can I tell you, a situation rose up, but she already knew. So there was no issue with us because I had already told. Because the devil ain't don't play fair. He don't care because you got a covenant marriage. He care that you keep a covenant. I'm done.
Mercy. Listen, communication is so important. And we don't like, you're right. Men don't like to talk. And so what does a safe conversation about sexual expectation look like for couples before marriage? Now, at the end of when I'm counseling couples and I know they're going to be married, that is something I tell them. Have a conversation so that you'll know where you are. Be honest. And you should be able to do this without shame or fear. Each person should be able to share their history. Bishop Ford just said it. Their hopes and boundaries, so nothing surprises them later. You cannot expect me or one to know if you don't have communication. And I'm glad Bishop Ford said this. Sometimes men perform based on their violations, and some of that makes them feel like the hero. But if you have a conversation, if you trust the person enough to marry them, then you ought to trust them enough to share your traumas. You ought to trust them enough, because again, that's a level of intimacy, because I trust you enough that I'm letting you in a space that I've never let anybody in. So you have to have a conversation. And the reason I do it at the end of the counseling, because I realize now they're moving into this. You all need to have a conversation and understand that transparency before marriage prevents trouble in marriage. And you cannot be so prideful, because again, if you trust me to share a life, I should know where you've been and what you've done, and vice versa. If you can't trust to that degree, you might need to have a seat for a minute. Trust is so imperative, and you should. If you're getting ready to marry him and trust is not there, I know you need to have a seat. And y'all know what I'm about to tell you. That right there is my story on that subject, and I'm sticking. We are moving on. We're moving on and into the fourth segment. We've talked about broken intimacy. Now we got to talk. Let's talk about a focus on restoration. How do we rebuild when sex has been misused or betrayed? It can be. There is life after that. When pleasure is rooted in pain. When pleasure is rooted in pain. I'm calling you back, Apostle Ford. How should the church, here we go. How should the church shout, lay hands, put all? How should the church respond to those whose sexual preferences have been shaped by abuse without condemning them? Help us, Apostle.
Oh, I had to deal with this on the regular because we're in the military community and we're out here. So the thing that is that, first of all, we say we love God, we love people, and we give hope. So we love people. I don't necessarily love your action if you're doing with a man and woman and woman. I don't agree with that, but I love you. But first of all, I can't get in a conversation with you without you being safe enough to talk to me about where you're at. And I keep telling people over and over again, and they don't get it. You cannot talk about an issue if you don't have a relationship with the person you're talking to, because they're not going to tell you the truth. Your kids sometimes, and you talk about parents need to be parents, that's why your kids go get information for somebody else, because they don't feel like they can talk to you because you put this hard, rough thing down rather than living. Hey, I'm not your friend. I'm your parent, but I want you to be able to tell me anything. I don't care how hard it is. I want you to be able to tell me that. And when you look at being sexual preference, and we have to respond with tenderness, and we got to remember that Galatians 6:1 say to restore gently. You got to restore gently. You got to create that safe space. You got to help them unlearn false intimacy by walking with them into how God intended. I've walked this out with somebody. They came in this way with the same sex attraction, and we loved them and we talked to them, and eventually things change. All you got to do is just be real, because that's all you got to do. Most of the time we try to turn around, always shame them. You know, we get up in church and that's not the way to get people to change. That didn't make me change. Don't beat me, teach me. I'm going to say that again for the people in the back. Don't beat me, teach me. And I'm done.
Lord have mercy. Don't beat me, teach me. And that's the thing. Church people, let me take about 5 seconds. I said this today talking to myself. I'm so sick of church people. I don't know what to do. We have to be real Christians and understand we have issues that need to be dealt with it. And so I'm going to go right here. And how do we help people who are addicted to toxic or painful sexual relationships? The first thing is, let's deal with the root of the issue. You don't just wake up with these issues. There is a root to them, whether it's childhood trauma, low self-esteem, violation. We have to deal with these issues again, and not make people feel ashamed as though they've created some issue that's never been created before. And you have to have the wisdom. I did that. We can't shout it away. You don't grease them down and speak in no tongue. Give them a platform. We have to, thank you, Yolanda Anderson, we have to create safe spaces. And it is important in the church and at home. It's okay to have a conversation. Addiction to toxic sex is a substitute for connection. And so you teach them to recognize triggers, reset boundaries, go back over your boundaries. And then here's a word, I'm getting ready to cuss, church cuss. Invite accountability. People don't, it's your fault I did it. It's their fault. Somebody, no. And then whatever you do, we go get eyeglasses, we go get dental work, we do that. But we need to understand it's okay to get counseling and spiritual guidance and retrain the soul. We've got to sometimes go back to the drawing board. It's okay. There are counselors, Christian coaches, they're there. Reach out. It's okay. Sit down and say, hey, I'm messed up right here. My mess up is tearing up my house. My mess up is destroying my marriage. And this is where I believe it came from. And be honest. It's not to throw anybody in your family, your loved ones away. It's so you can be healed. Evangelist Clark, I'm calling you now. Why do many women blame themselves when they've been abused sexually? And how can they break that cycle of guilt? Help us out, sis.
Now that question, it hits home for me, because for a long time I thought that maybe I shouldn't have gone over there, or maybe I didn't say no loud enough, or maybe I even brought it on myself. But that's what abuse does, though. It plants shame so deep within us that we start watering that shame with our own thoughts. The enemy doesn't want you just hurt. He wants you to hold yourself responsible for it, because that's what breaks down your identity. And that's what he's really after anyway. He's after your identity. You know, after my military sexual trauma happened, it was easier for me to believe that it was my fault than for me to believe that someone that I loved, someone that I called brother, someone that I served beside would betray me like that. When something traumatic happens and we can't make sense of it, we turn it inward. We turn it on ourselves. We start blaming ourselves because it feels safer to think that we had control, even if it's not true. It's a form of self-protection, but the truth is you were never responsible for someone else's sin. You didn't cause it, and God is not punishing you. The healing begins when we stop trying to fix what somebody else broke. You don't have to carry that guilt. It's not yours to carry. And freedom comes when you stop asking, what did I do wrong? And start asking, what did the enemy steal that God is trying to restore? Breaking that cycle starts with reclaiming your voice and refusing to wear guilt that was never yours to carry. That guilt was literally never yours to carry. The enemy tricked you into thinking that it was. And he also tricked you into you claiming it as your identity. My advice to you is to talk to someone safe, of course. Get in your word. And remember that God never stops at survival. He calls us into being whole. He calls us into wholeness.
My Lord. Now, we haven't done this all day. We have to do it. Somebody put this in the comment box. He stole it, but God's restoring it. He stole it, but God's restoring it. Put that in that comment box. If you know your peace, your ability to love has been stolen through trauma, but today God is restoring it. Thank you, Reggie Guy. The reset, the refocus, refresh, and then be restored. My goodness, God has been good to us, and we thank him. Dr. Woods, let's talk to you talk to us from a clinical perspective. What is the link between trauma and unusual arousal patterns? Dr. Woods, help us out.
Oh, Apostle. Yes. Yes, Apostle. That link. There is something called hypersexuality. And this comes from trauma. It's not a person who likes sex. And it's not a person who enjoys it. Listen, hypersexuality comes from trauma. It's where you recreate trauma. Your hypersexuality is where you put yourself in dangerous situations because that's where you feel comfortable. And so a person can distort they're mostly distorted, where they have this distorted mentality of sexuality, and it leads them to an atypical sexual development, where their sexual development isn't clear. Survivors may unconsciously recreate elements of their trauma. Some do it purposely, but the majority of those people that are suffering from trauma and having this type of relationships is they are recreating elements of that trauma. Trauma conditions the brain to associate danger with desire. See, that's where it gets thrown off. That dangerous things are desirable. And everything that's desirable should include a little danger. So choke me or tie me up, or and this is where they recreate. This is how this link between trauma and unusual arousal patterns. The arousal becomes tied to pain, or and it's controlling your body where it remembers the original wound. And so the abuse plants shame, so you stay in that place of shame. And now you are comfortable in dysfunction. That's when you don't heal. But healing rewires the patterns in your mind. It rewires these thoughts. And you've got to be healed to get out of this. When you have a link between your trauma and your unusual arousal patterns, when we talk about arousal patterns, I'm being real here. What turns you on? Let's be real. That's what we're talking about. Something that is unusual, that is turning you on, and it's due to trauma. It's due from abuse. It's due, and it's so many ways that this can happen, because there's some people that are doing these things that out of shame, and there's some that's doing this because they're numb and they just do it. They don't feel anything. And so they want to feel something. And so because they're going through life numb, because they don't want to heal, they're trying not to heal. And so because once they heal, pain is about to happen. Because when you start healing, there's got to be some pain. That means the root has to be pulled out. There's something has to come out. There's got to be a cutting open. There's got to be something. So you don't want to feel any of that. You rather just stay in this pattern of trauma, desire, pain, shame, and what we call dysfunction. That's the link. But healing must take place, Apostle. It's got to. Or you're going to put yourself in such a dangerous situation that's one of these times you won't be able to come back from it. Your life depends on your deliverance and your healing from hypersexuality and trauma.
Wow. So let's move to this unfamiliar place. And that is a place of peace, because you've lived in trauma since you're a violator, since you've been trained. So it's unfamiliar, but it's a great place to be. So let's get healed from it. Let's experience some deliverance. And so we're moving very quickly. Let's go to segment 5, restoration and redemption. We can't leave you where we've taken you today. There is restoration and there is redemption. I'm going to call Dr. Woods back up. How can counseling and therapy restore sexual health after abuse or betrayal? Please, Sister Jones, Tamika Jones said it. I'm going to say it again. Get counseling. Dr. Woods, my sister, please come back and help us.
Yes, you got to get counseling. There's therapists that can help you go straight. You can go to certain type of therapists, and especially for sexual trauma, from abuse. Even when you think that you're okay, please do. My abuse took place when I was 4 years old, and a lot of people think that I shouldn't have. I should have had this either a huge amount of trauma in my life or little to none, because I was so little. But it affected everything I did until I got therapy, until I got counseling. And I didn't even realize at times how it was affecting me. But it helped me rebuild myself and untangle my story. It helped me give a language to what I was feeling, and I needed the language because I had these triggers, and when I started getting therapy, I realized that it boiled down to actually two different triggers for me. How I reacted to things, how I responded to things. So counseling helps you rewrite story. It does erase scars, especially for us in ministry, because that's our story. And none of our story is wasted. It's helping others. And so this is part of my testimony. And that's the battle scar that I carry. And that's something that I'm helping other abused children to come out of. So, but it helped me to rewrite my story, because it would have been a different story if I'd have kept going without getting counseling. I would have had different relationships. I would have had a different career. I would have had, because of the way I was reacting to things and how I responded. How I responded to rejection, how I responded to abandonment. That was huge in my life. My offense was so easy that when you offended me, I was looking at through the eyes of offense, and I was seeing things that didn't happen because I was letting offense talk to me. I was hearing things that wasn't said. I couldn't take a rebuke. I was out of there. I couldn't take a rebuke in church. No, I was out because I was in that place where I was constantly being triggered by rejection and abuse and abandonment. And that's how I was responding to things when I realized, when it opened it up and peeled back the layers of what my triggers were, and how a lot of times correction was coming to help me. I never saw it that way. I never did. I let offense hurt me, and it would hurt me it would hurt me to my core if I was corrected or critiqued. I couldn't take it. And so you got to get counseling, you all. You got to. Your relationships will change. Your relationship with yourself will change. Your relationship with the Lord will change. Your relationship.
Listen, Dr. Ford said that counseling is not an enemy to your faith. Let me plug this in. We are on here. We represent California. We represent Louisiana, Texas. If you need a counselor, please inbox our team, Bishop's team, and we have access. I have access to Texas. I have access to Missouri. There are counselors out there that's willing to help. Inbox, and we'll get you the information. We don't want to know your business. We want to know you're free. That's what we want to know. You're free. Dr. Woods, you have been such a blessing. And please understand, we all have a story. We all have a story, and it's there to be told. And we want you to understand, we just not having a conversation. We have experienced some trauma of some trauma of some sort, if I can say it like that. I'm coming to Evangelist Clark, and we are moving like a man with his house on fire. Listen, if you're being blessed, put that in the comment box. This is blessing me. This is blessing me. While Evangelist Clark is coming, what advice do you have for women who are afraid to talk about their needs in marriage because of church stigma, Lord? What advice do you have for women who are afraid to talk about their needs in marriage because of church stigma? Come on, Evangelist Clark, and help us.
That's Apostle. Well, I mean, first, I want women to know that you matter. Like, your needs matter, period. That's it, bottom line. The church has often made us feel like, when it comes to marriage, being a good wife means being silent, overly submissive, and spiritually invisible. But healthy marriage doesn't require you to shrink. It requires you to show up emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically. God did not create you to be voiceless. You are not less holy for having desires, for having boundaries, for having needs, for having a mind of your own. You're not disrespecting your husband by being honest. You're building intimacy by being real. And any theology that teaches you to suppress your God-given voice is not rooted in love. It is not rooted in love at all. It's rooted in fear. And so we collectively have to stop confusing silence with submission and call it what it really is, which is spiritual suppression.
Ooh, mercy, mercy. You mean to tell me I can be married and have a conversation? What you say? Mercy, they've been telling me to shut up. Listen, Apostle Ford, how do you restore sexual trust after betrayal? How do you restore that?
I'm still stuck on what Evangelist Clark said. So let me see if I can move forward. I got stuck right there. I was going to get up and dance and shout. I don't know what her sirens was at, but being a pastor and having to talk with people, and I'm a Christian counselor. In my church, we have Christian counselors and we have regular counselors as well. So if you want to, because I believe that you have to be able to have a place of trust to be able to go and talk. So we have that. And I like what Dr. Woods said about therapy, and what my wife said. That's my wife there. That's my boo thing right there. That May Ford there. That's her. Counseling is not an enemy to your faith. The church has made counseling a taboo. While people are going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, doing everything but the right thing, if they could have been helped. Because what I look at is the DSM-5 collides with the Bible, and we have a good outtake. So talking about sexual betrayal, it's like one of the things, if you did it and your wife, because sometimes wives or husbands are not willing to take that road. They're done. They wipe their hands. No matter what you tell them, they're on the road. But if that spouse is willing to walk it through you, you need to understand one thing. One apology doesn't take away from all the stuff you did. Trust that is earned and lost is harder to get back. And it's a line upon line. And you say day upon day. No, it's minute upon minute upon minute. And it ain't one act. You can't tell, well, I'm going to bring you flowers. I'm going to take, no. That is going to have to be walked out in sincerity. Small steps. Don't get mad at your spouse. Well, it's been 6 months. You should have forgiven me. No, you don't get to determine when I make that move. Now, I'm not going to get locked in it forever, but it's my time, my way. And I'm going to go through my counseling, my getting ready to figure out what, because the first thing the enemy says is, what was wrong with you that made them have to go out and find somebody else? And then you start, there we go with the inner thing. It must have been my fault. In most cases, it wasn't nothing to do with your fault. It had everything to do with somebody who was not healed from something that they came into the marriage with. They didn't deal with it. And now it's raising its ugly head. So we got to take small steps, and then understanding one big statement does not wipe out. Because I've counseled men, Pastor, it's been a year and they're still talking about what I did. Well, I asked them, did you do that? Well, then she got to take her time to forgive you because you broke trust. And I don't know how I can explain this. Trust is the most valuable thing you can have in a marriage. Not sex, trust. Because if you have trust, sex and all that other stuff will make a better covenant. If I can trust you, even when I can't see you, even when I don't know where you're at, that makes me feel safe with you. And as a husband, that's your job, to make your wife feel safe. And I'm done.
Bishop Ford, you have said a mouthful. I lived through the trauma of what did I do? Why did this happen like this? I went to God, got real deep and went to God. And Dr. Ford, you helping us today. It takes time to repair trust. You broke the pattern, and thus patterns take time to develop. You don't cut me with a machete and give me a stitch and think I'm supposed to be okay in the morning. And so if you cheated or cut me over a series of time, at least give me enough time. I accept you, I forgive you, but give me the time to heal from it. And that's what we don't understand. It takes time and process, and then it don't help when you get attitude because I'm not okay in the morning. And so forgiveness itself, it plays a role in restoring the sexual intimacy. And so you give me an opportunity to forgive you, and then let me tell you something. Just because your mate performs in the bed don't mean their heart's still not broken. That's not what that means. It takes time to heal. Forgiveness clears the air so that passion has a place to grow again, not pop up. Because don't but two things pop up. That's a weed or an infection. And so without it, without forgiveness, the individual is going to always hold back. Forgiveness creates room for passion to return. And so I'm going to say this. It's not how you respect me in my face. It's how you respect me behind my back. That's real respect. That's real trust. How you handling me when I'm not present? And so though it takes the forgiveness to come in, true forgiveness, to clear the air, and it'll create room for passion to return. Before we close, let's end with hope. There is life after pain. There is wholeness after betrayal, and there is joy after brokenness. There is life after pain. There is wholeness after betrayal, and there is joy after brokenness. This is segment 6. And we're going to have closing words of hope. Again, let's end with hope. There is life after pain, wholeness after betrayal, and joy after brokenness. If you don't leave with nothing else, I want you to leave with that imprinted in your brain. And so I'm going to bring my brothers and sisters back. And they're going to give us one word and a sentence to leave with you today. We're going to start with Apostle Ford, Dr. A, and Evangelist Kimberly, in that order. If you'll come and give us the one word to leave with our audience today. We're in your hands, sir.
My word is freedom. because you don't have to stay tied to what's hurting you. Back in the day when people kill somebody, they would make them carry the dead body around to indicate what they did. You need to cut away from that. You need to cut it away, let it go, and be free. And understand this: freedom is always waiting for you, but you have to choose it. Freedom is there for you, but it's a choice you have to make.
Dr. A.
Intentional healing. Be intentional. Hurt a little, but know that healing is on the other side of that. Intentional healing. Get through it, go through it, and be better for it.
Evangelist Kimberly.
My word is hope. My advice is to stay spirit-led, not emotionally baited. Hope means it's not too late. You can start over and still live the life that God intended for you to do. But you can be led by your emotions. You have to be led by the Spirit. When your emotions start leading, then you have an issue.
My word is wholeness. No matter what has been broken in your past, God still has the power to make you whole. Family, this conversation has been raw, but necessary. Healing begins when we stop hiding. We pray that tonight something has been said that gives you the courage to get free. And it takes courage. Before we go, we're going to open the door for you. If you're carrying something heavy, if this conversation stirs something in you that you yourself know needs healing, please send us your prayer request. They're putting the address on the screen, and we're going to take time and we're going to have prayer. We're going to have prayer. Remember, we have no judgment for you. This is definitely a safe space. It's definitely a safe space. We're praying for you. There is life after trauma, freedom, intentional, hope, and wholeness. It's yours. We're going to have prayer, and we're going to lift you up before God, because God has brought all of us out of something, and he has no respect of person. This is why he would put such a conversation in the spirit of our leader, that we could come. God is concerned about the whole man. He's concerned about not just how you live at church, but how you living and functioning at home as a spouse, as a parent, as a leader on your job. Please, ma'ams and sirs, share your prayer requests. Share your prayer requests so that we may have conversation with God concerning you. Let's look to the Lord in prayer. Father, it is again, sir, that we come to say thank you. Thank you for just being God today. Thank you for these that have shared with us at the table. We thank you. You said in all things, give thanks. And so even in trauma, not for trauma, but in the midst, we thank you for the trauma that some may be in. We thank you for the trauma that you brought us out of. We thank you for those that have survived. And we thank you that if they're in earrange today, we decree and we declare that they are survivors. And we praise and we magnify you, that we may be left with a limp, but there's a story with every limp. And we appreciate you now, God. Bless their marriages, bless their relationships, bless them, strengthen them to be good leaders, good spouse, good parents. Because of trauma, they don't have to park in it. It'll push them to a place called purpose. In Jesus' name we pray. Thank you, Father. Amen. I'm going to ask you to sow a seed today. They're going to put the ways to give. Again, we're not selling anything, but your seed today is an agreement with the chains being destroyed, not just broken, because if they're broken, they can be repaired. They're being destroyed. It happened. It hurt, but you survived. And you survived with purpose. You've been through divorce. You've been through rape. I heard my sister talk about the military violations. It happened. Mentally, physically, abuse. These things have happened, and it's distorted your view of sex, something God created to be so beautiful. And because of these things, you can't function. But after today, have a conversation. It's not too late to start again. Thank you. There's life after betrayal, abuse, and or regret. Listen, do this on our way out. Hashtag hope restored. Hashtag E320. Let's do that. Especially that hashtag hope restored. If that's you, let that be your hashtag today. We don't have to know your business. But if you want us to have a conversation with God, which means we're agreeing with you, we're the strong bearing the infirmity of the weak. And we're going to take you to God. We're going to rip the roof off until you can get up and walk again. Again, on behalf of our bishop, thank you for sharing your moments with us on today. Thank you for allowing us into your personal space. And we thank you for coming in the room with us. Until we come together again, my dears, you be free. I know you thought I was going to say be blessed. You be free. Walk in a victory that you knew not of and live your best life. Listen, it's getting ready to happen. Have a good rest of your evening and be blessed. Amen. We'll see you soon.
He's gonna do exceeding abundantly above all you can ask for, you can ask for, you can ask